All right. Let's go ahead and get this day going. Motivation, meditation, inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. Let's go ahead and get this thing set for 60 minutes. Let's go ahead and get a start on 60 minutes. Here we go. So let's go ahead and start talking about how we can utilize our ability to focus. How we can start getting into it. Motivation, meditation, inspiration. If it's not one of the three, I don't want it. So what does it mean to be focused? How can we utilize focus on a daily basis? How can we allow it to be a part of our everyday path? Very, very good questions. So as we start to look at the ability to absorb things, as we start to get down with the fact that the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis come down to how well you can actually focus. We're going to start to see that no matter how hard the challenges are that are going on around us, they're always going to be the same, because there's always going to be challenges. So realistically, what it comes down to is how well you can absorb your focus, how well you can go inside when other people won't. When challenges that are going on around you are happening, how well can you go inside? And that's where we start asking ourselves these types of questions. That's where we start getting into the ability to recognize that what we have inside is absorption. That as we start to recognize the process of being motivation is actually focus, putting ourselves in a place where what reflects outwards is coming from your internal absorption, which means that focus is an absorption. What other people identify from that focus is the reflection. So when we go inside and we start to answer these types of questions to ourselves, when we start to say, hey, these type of challenges that I'm going on and going against, they're meant for my growth. We give ourselves that ability to start to get down with ourselves to that point. Then it comes down to the ability to get within yourself. And that means there is nobody else that can do that for you. You have to do that yourself. You have to get inside of yourself and ask yourself these types of questions. Are these challenges helping me to focus to the point where what is reflecting on the outside is coming from within me? So if you start to get down with yourself to that level, if your relation with this universe starts to get in such a place that you start to become aligned with what you have inside of you, then ultimately what starts to reflect outwards is focus. Your absorption shines outwards and other people start to call you the reflection of focus, which in other words is motivation. So as we allow ourselves to have that kind of process, as we utilize the process of what we do have, ultimately what other people start to identify with is what you have inside of you. A lot of motivational speakers have started to say, if you want it bad enough, then you'll get it. They're starting to say that it's the person who wants it the most that gets what they want. And they most definitely are true. Because when you put yourself where the process of focus is the most important thing, we're going through the process and the results comes from that process. When you are enjoying the process more than anything, you have the ability to utilize this universe. You have the ability to go within yourself and say, I am the solution. I am the reason why I am where I am. When you give yourself that ability, when you get into yourself to the point where I am the only person that's going to pull myself out of this type of situation is me, that no one's going to come and save me from my own challenges, then you start to answer the types of questions. Then you have to start asking yourself, what type of tools in this universe can I utilize? What type of tools in this universe are available to me to use on a daily basis? How can I go within myself and find the solution? And so that means that there's no one else that's going to save you from yourself. The only person that they can't save you from is you. They can't save you from who you are. Only you can go inside of yourself and start to answer those types of questions. And that's going to require a level of focus. That's going to require understanding that the process from within you radiates outwards. That what comes from within is your focus, and what you put out is a reflection. So when we start utilizing the purpose of who we are, we start to get down with the person that we are inside, where the external becomes the reflection. When we become so into our own journey that our path is very important to us, to where our level of focus bypasses and breaks through barriers that would stop you from your level of growth, then ultimately what you're doing is giving yourself the ability to utilize the tools that you do have. So ask yourself, are you utilizing these kind of tools? Are you putting yourself in a place where the challenges that you are facing off against, you are achieving and you are overcoming? And so how are some of the ways that we can overcome our challenges? One of those ways is by listening to things that are positive, writing stuff down, putting ourselves in places where we find the most positive angle in the situations, giving ourselves that kind of ability that we recognize that was within ourselves is a reflection on the outside. When you give yourself that place, when you put yourself so that the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis, they're meant for you to overcome. When you give yourself that kind of strength that's within you becomes a reflection on the outside, then what we identify with, what we give ourselves the ability to utilize, is the reflection on the outside. So in other words, becoming motivation is a process of focus, putting yourself in a place where you're not just trying to be motivation, you are motivation, where what shines out from within you is a reflection that other people understand that what you are is a reflection. What you are is your level of focus. It's what you choose to apply yourself to, how you put yourself into the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis. Are you giving yourself that ability? Are you putting yourself in that place where you can focus, where you're writing stuff down, where you're listening to stuff to bring you to positivity, where you're putting yourself in a place where the reflection that other people identify with is you? Are you saying to yourself, I'm going to do this? And are you achieving that? Are you putting yourself in a place where the reflection on the outside comes from within who you are? Are you hearing what I'm saying? Are you asking yourself these types of questions? Are you getting down with who you are inside? So when we start to get to that place, when we get into that path, we get into that journey, we go within ourselves and we become a reflection on the outside, ultimately what matters is our level of focus. That means that absorption is focus. That means that what you have inside of yourself comes from how well you can absorb the things and the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis. So are you asking yourself that type of question? A lot of people say, how can you do that? How can you get to that place where focus becomes a tool? When you use focus as a tool, when you give yourself the ability to use the tools of this universe in such a way that it has the ability to utilize you, then what you are using is this universe, and it has the ability to use you as a tool. So recognize there is not a challenge. There is not a challenge too big for the one that's willing to focus. That is a liberation in itself, because when you understand that absorption is focus, when you understand that absorption is utilization of the tools of this universe, when you understand that what's going on inside of you becomes a reflection on the outside, that what we utilize is this universe, and that you are the tool in this universe, that the tools that you do have is all that you need. All that you have inside of yourself is what you need, which means that you can become the best masons. You can become the best drywallers. You can become the best singers. It requires a level of focus. It requires an absorption to the point where other people identify with your level of focus, with your ability to go within yourself and to find that place inside of who you are. So if you're asking yourself, how do I get there? That is a very good question. So, how I have found the ability to start to head to where the absorption becomes a focus is by putting myself in places where only the thought process gives the ability to work, where what we utilize on a daily basis comes down to the simplicity of how the challenges that we face off against are. Welcome.
And their response to the noose that was hanging in the... Alright. Gonna have to stay going. Motivation, meditation, inspiration. If it's not one of the three that they're gonna do for seeding. The Loch Ness Monster?
So one of my networks went down for just a minute, so I just brought it back up. So I do 3 live feeds at the same exact time. So let's go ahead and continue talking about this. Let's look at the process itself. Let's look at what kind of challenges we are actually facing off against on a daily basis. Are you giving yourself the ability to go within who you are? Are you putting yourself in a place that no matter how hard the situation is around you, you're the one that was meant to be there? So, what kind of challenges do we face off against daily? What kind of place do we have to go within ourselves to find the reflection on the outside? And so as we head down that journey, let's go ahead and start looking at what this looks like. So if you give yourself the ability to set one task a day, and you achieve that task every single day, then ultimately you will become the best at that task. But it must be the first task that you set before yourself every single day. You see, if you allow yourself to not be broken from the focus that you have inside of yourself, then ultimately what shows on the outside becomes a reflection of your level of focus. This means that the absorption from within becomes a reflection on the outside. So recognizing that doing one thing very well has a result. Doing one thing very well has a reflection. Doing one thing very well shows on the outside from within who you are. So if you ask yourself, what kind of challenges am I taking on today? What type of things am I working through today? Then we have to look within ourselves, because the answer from within shines out. So as we start to get down with what kind of challenges we're facing off against on a daily basis, that is where the growth starts. That is where the place inside of ourselves becomes a reflection on the outside. So how can the challenge that you face off against daily give you the ability to go within yourself? And then you have to look on the outside. So as we look at what we want to become, we have to start recognizing that the only things that exist are focus and knowledge. When we give ourselves the ability to utilize these, when we become a part of this connection, when the reflection shines outwards from within who you are, this universe starts to utilize you. It will recognize that the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis are there and meant as tools. So the person that's willing to go inside of themselves and answer these type of questions, are these challenges something that I want to face off against? I am the only one that can get myself out of whatever situation I get myself into. When you give yourself the ability to recognize this, when you give yourself the ability to go within who you are inside, then and only then can this universe start to work in your favor. When you start to identify that both positive and negative forces are an identified source of reflection from your level of focus, that the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis are meant for you to overcome, then the utilization of this universe and the tools within this universe become available to you. So when you write stuff down, when you give yourself the ability to go within who you are, when you recognize that the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis are meant to help you to grow, when they're meant to be there not to stop you, but for you to recognize the challenges that you face off against, and you start to utilize them in your favor, this universe will start to utilize you as a tool. It will use the things that were meant to stop you to actually help you to identify the path and the journey that you are on individually. So when we recognize that each of us have very special gifts, we have very special absorbing focus, that the reflection can shine from within who we are outwards, then we utilize the torque in this universe properly. So a lot of people don't utilize the universe. They don't give themselves the ability to use it, but then they recognize that there's things like gravity, that things actually drop, that there are universal laws created by the Most High for utilization in purpose. So if you drop a ball outside, it's going to drop. A body in motion stays in motion, right? So if we look at these kinds of laws, then we can't ignore the universe. We can't ignore the mere fact that utilization is meant for your purpose to understand, to get to that place where the absorption is within you, where that what other people identify with is your level of focus, your place to go to that place where the reflection shines outwards from within who you are. When you are focused, the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis no longer have the ability to stop you from being able to overcome them. So when we put everything in the right purpose and we put it in the right place and we give ourselves the ability to go within who we are, the reflection that is shining outwards of that focus is the tool that other people need. They'll see you and they'll need the things that you can do that nobody else can do in the world. Because when you focus on them, you can become that. So as you put those types of tasks in front of yourself and you start to challenge yourself in that way, that is when you start to utilize that. Another place is by not allowing yourself to let subconscious stuff affect your conscious mind. In other words, when you listen to things that are against your level of focus and you allow those things to affect you, they have the ability to not allow the tool that's inside of yourself to become a reflection as much on the outside. So when we not having the ability to use the things that we have inside of who we are, then we are at mercy of this universe. However, when we utilize the tools that we do have, then this universe has the ability to utilize you. It will put you in places, it will give you promotions, it will give you the ability to go when you are straightforward with the challenges that you face off against. So when we put ourselves with a place of focus, when we give ourselves that ability, when we get within who we are, we say, no, there's no more of this. There's no more poor me, poor you. There is only how focused I am, how focused I can get. The challenges that I have, I'm going to write them down. I'm going to study them. I'm going to get to a place where I enjoy the process more than the destination. So many people want to be there, but they don't want to take the path to get there. Let's start enjoying the path to get there. Let's get into the place where the focus, the absorption, gets to that place where the reflection is just a result from your level of focus, where it's other people that are calling you focused. Their reflections are strength. They see that there's no challenge that you can't overcome because you are focused to the point where when you take on a challenge, the ability to overcome that challenge is within you. So when you see that, when you get to that place inside of who you are, where what is shining outwards is coming from within who you are, where your level of focus is all you got, where this universe says to you, hey, let's see if you can do this, and you do. When you have a challenge in front of you and you say to yourself, by this date I'm going to achieve this, and you do, then you start to recognize that this universe is meant for you. This universe is a place for your growth. Ultimately, it's up to you. So all those people who say you can't do this, they might not know the person that you are inside. And I'm telling that person who doesn't believe in themselves right now, I'm telling them, write stuff down, listen to motivation, put yourself in a way that you allow the process to work through you, where the manifestation will come to you from the torque in this universe that has the ability to utilize it on whatever playing field you want to talk about. That is up to you to get to that place where you're absorbing your focus. When you do absorb your focus, when you do get down with the person that you are inside, when you do stop making excuses for who you are, and you start to voice yourself, your focus that actually is what's going on inside of you is becoming a reflection on the outside. When you allow yourself to have that kind of process, when you recognize that the process is more important than the destination, that the process is what we're going through on a daily basis, when you give yourself that ability, when you give yourself the ability to take things that were meant to work against you and you turn them into your favor, when the torque in this universe moves the wind in your direction, it's no longer fighting you. So if you're riding a bicycle and it gets very windy, it gets harder and harder to pedal. And so as you pedal up a hill, knowing that there's always a downhill, gives us the ability to recognize that there is no challenge too big for who we are inside. When we see what challenges we face off against on a daily basis and we take them and we go down that hill, and I know a lot of people might say, what if it's just flat for miles? Well, at a certain point, you're going to run into a hill. So at a certain point, it's going to ask you, this universe is going to ask you this question: do you want it bad enough? It's going to be between you and you. It's going to be between what you got, how focused you are, the tools that you have for the tasks that you're taking on. So if you take on one task at a time, if you put yourself in that place, and if those type of challenges that you have the ability to overcome, then ultimately, this universe will start to use the things, the skills that you have inside from your level of focus as you are. So that's the purpose of focus, is to get to that place where the motivation is the process, where the process is more important than the solution. Let's not try to solve everything in life. Let's try to become who we are. Let's try to become exactly that level of focus within who we are, where how we use the things that we have inside of ourselves shines outwards, where when people recognize you, they see motivation. When people recognize you, they see from your level of focus that you are a reflection of strength, that they can identify with you in this specific task, and you do this task better than anyone else ever could. That this universe can use the tools that you have available to you. And each of us have our own individual tools. So, what are you waiting for? Is a question I have. Let's take a look at why focusing is so important. So, when a task gets put in front of you, you first have to absorb the challenge that's going on in front of you. So, as you start to absorb this, then you're going to start putting your attention into it. So, as our attention is put into things, then the ability to utilize them becomes very important as well. So, as as we um, as we use what we have inside of who we are, as we get to that place inside of ourselves, as we ask ourselves these types of questions, do you really want this bad enough? Is this what you want inside of yourself to reflect outwards? Are these the type of challenges that you want to face off against on a daily basis? That's going to require things like listening to positivity, like putting yourself in places where positivity comes outwards from within yourself, where what you have inside of yourself becomes a reflection on the outside. So when we get to that level, where everything on the outside becomes a reflection from our level of focus, then this universe has the ability to utilize you. It will ask you the question, do you really want it? Is this thing that you're taking on really worth it? Are these challenges that you're facing off against on a daily basis the place that you want to be? So as you answer those questions, as you get down to that place, as you get down to that person that you are inside, as that reflection shines outwards from within who you are, you will start to answer those questions. And a lot of times, this universe is just waiting for the answer. It's waiting to see if you really can take on this task. It's waiting to see if you got what it takes inside of yourself. And that's going to require you to pull out every tool that you have available to yourself. That's going to require you to say to yourself, let's do this. I got this. I can get within my focus within myself to get to that place. And so as you get down with who you are inside, as those parts of who you are inside become the reflection on the outside, ultimately the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis, those things, those people that say it's not possible, they become to the side. They recognize you. They start to seek out you. They start to call you a reflection of motivation. That's why we seek out the process of motivation, because it is a reflection of focus. So those people that are focused are achieving those tasks. They're doing those things. They're getting those degrees if you're a student. They're getting that place inside of themselves. And it's shining outwards from within them. They're asking those types of questions. They're saying, can I do this? Can I hang in here for 2 years? Can I write this paper? Can I get down to the point where there is no challenge too great for who I am inside? When you start to answer these types of questions, there is nobody else who can do it for you. It is ultimately you who has to answer that question for yourself. You have to say to yourself, I'm going to do this. These challenges that I face off against aren't too big for me. Now, as this universe has the ability to use you as a tool, it will give you the ability to start to go within yourself with your level of absorption, with your level of focus. You can actually go within who you are. When this universe has the ability to start to utilize you, when it has the ability to say to the world, this person has achieved this task, there will be people who will recognize you from your inwards journey. And so, the more honest we are with ourselves, the more focused we become on the person that we are inside, the more relation we have to this universe and the Most High of this universe, the creator of this universe, then we must start to go inwards. And so as we start to head inwards, as we start to utilize the breath, the challenges around us become smaller and smaller. The things that might have stopped us from being who we are become a little more simple. The person that we are inside becomes a little bit more of a reflection, and we start to identify with what we are. Are you that strong that the focus can go within you? Can you go within who you are and start breaking down the challenges that you face against inside? I'm talking about meditation. I'm talking about the ability to get to the place where focus is an inwards journey, where what other people identify with is your strength, where what they can see from within you is strength. Are you able to get down with yourself? Are you able to grind with the person that you are inside? Are you answering these types of questions to the universe? Are you allowing yourself to bypass the channels that are stopping you from bypassing the emotion to gain the lessons inside of yourself from your level of focus? Are you able to go within who you are? That requires focus. This is why the reflection of motivation is the process of focus. It's the process that's most important. It's the ability to recognize the stories and the challenges that you go through are meant to help you to grow. They're meant to allow you to go inside of who you are. They're meant to let you face off against them. They're meant to allow you to connect with your breath. They're meant to allow you to utilize this universe in such a way that what shines from within you creates a reflection on the outside. That is what other people see. Your level of focus, the things that you do. And when they see that and they see that you got that within yourself, they see that you're willing to go within who you are. And the only solution in this universe, created by the Most High of this universe, is to know yourself. When you know the person that you are inside, when you go to that place, when you get to that ability within who you are, where you recognize that everything that you've ever been through, every challenge that you have comes down to your focus and knowledge. When you get to that place that there's nothing that has the ability to stop you, when you get to that place inside of yourself where what shines outwards comes from within who you are, then what we are utilizing is this universe. We are utilizing the reflection on the outside. There is no challenge too great for the person who can go within themselves. So when we use that, we give ourselves that place, we give ourselves the ability to center ourselves into that part of ourselves where we recognize the internal universe, the place where the focus heats up inside of ourselves. When we could break down those energy fields that stop us from being able to have the ability to gain the knowledge from our levels of elevation, like the mountains have height, you have a journey. You have air above you. You have the ability to utilize it. Like the river flows. And the journey that we go on is the ability to be connected. The ability to get to that place where what we use is a connection with the things that we do have, with the knowledge inside of ourselves, shines outwards as the reflection, and that other people start to recognize what the knowledge that you have inside of yourself, the ability to go within who you are, to get down to the person that you are inside, to answer these types of questions with the universe. When you have that place of who you are, where what is inside of you is a relation with the Most High of this universe, when you have that place that there's nothing that can stop you from your journey with your path on this face of this planet, then you start to answer this type of question. Then you start to get down with who you are inside. And so the knowledge that we have inside of ourselves is lessons waiting for you to extract. It's waiting for you to say to yourself, let's go ahead and face off against this. Nobody else is going to take this on but me. When you get down with yourself to that place, when you write your stuff down, when you give yourself the ability to get into who you are, where your breath becomes the pen and you become the paper, where your internal breath becomes the student, a focus, entering the classroom of you, where you are the classroom and the external is the teacher. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You are both a student, the classroom, and the teacher of your journey. You were brought here to face off against those challenges. You were brought here to absorb and focus to the point where the reflection that shine outwards came from your level of focus, where the knowledge inside of you was very important, where what you have inside of yourself shines outwards as a reflection, and that reflection is knowledge. The knowledge inside of yourself gives you the ability to become liberated from the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis. And breaking down those energy fields, breaking down to those challenges, is why focus is so important. Because as we write stuff down, as we give ourselves the ability to go inside, as we become a reflection on the outside, there is nothing too big for the person that's willing to face off with themselves. What kind of challenges are you facing off against today? What part of your knowledge are you just waiting to open up to learn from? What kind of things are holding you back from that ability to grow? It is only the mind that stops when we don't focus. So when we put ourselves in that place of focus, when we give ourselves those types of challenges to overcome, what are we doing on a daily? Ask yourself those types of questions. Can I gain the knowledge from within myself? Can I get to that place inside of who I am, where ultimately the reflection comes from my knowledge? So, where are you? Ask yourself that type of question. How much are you going into the knowledge inside of who you are? How much are you giving yourself that place and recognizing that it has a place within you? That's the type of question you got to ask yourself, because nobody else will ask that question for you. Only you can ask yourself that kind of question. Only you can ask yourself, do I got what it takes? Can I overcome these types of challenges? If your answer to that question is yes, then keep going on that level of focus. And if your answer is no, then let's start working together to get it to that place. Let's get it to that place where what is inside of you is becoming a reflection on the outside. So, how can we connect our focus and knowledge? How can we get to that part of ourselves to where what is inside of us is shining outwards? How can we go within who we are and allow what's inside of ourselves to be that kind of connection that this universe has the ability to utilize you? So are you asking yourself these types of questions? Are you saying to yourself, I can do this? There is nothing too strong for who I am inside? When you start to ask these types of questions, when you get to that place where the journey that you have inside of yourself is more important than the destination, then you start to answer the question, what am I? And then this universe starts to answer you. And it says to you, you are you. You are a creation of the Most High. You are brought here as a tool. You have a purpose. You have a path. You have a journey. You have a place for yourselves. Each individual one of you is so important. But you got to see it for yourself. You got to ask yourself these types of questions. You got to get down to that place where the only solution is me, where I am my best friend, where I am the one who can get through the challenges that I face off against. And so as you do that, we start to head to the place where we get to the point where knowledge and focus comes down to the exact extraction, where the connection makes you the classroom, where it makes you the ability to go within who you are, where there is nothing too great for you. When you see this type of a challenge facing off against you, when you give yourself that place inside of yourself where there is nothing too great for who you are, where what you got inside of you is a connection between knowledge and focus, then ultimately you become the classroom. You become the student and the teacher of your life. And then as you do that, as you give yourself that place, as you hold that place for yourself to be, as you go within who you are, as you connect with that person inside of who you are, there is much place of growth. There is much challenge for that connection. But as you allow the focus and knowledge to get to the place of discipline, that discipline will create a reflection on the outside. And this reflection, others will see. This reflection is called inspiration. So as you create those kind of ripples from your focuses and your knowledge inside of yourselves, as you get to that place where what is within you radiates outwards, this is when there is no challenge too great for you. This is when there is no place too great for you. So, what do we do on a daily? What do we do on a weekly? What do we do on a yearly? Are we using our focus? Are we using our knowledge in a way that the reflection is shining outwards from within ourselves? Are you guys asking yourself these types of questions? Are you putting yourself on the page of the book where your focus and your knowledge is being applied? Where it's not about if it's an easy or a hard day. It's ultimately about going within yourself and allowing the external to become that reflection. Allowing the external to become that identified place where it's allowing the external to see what you got inside of you when others identify you, what they examine inside of you, is that you are so focused, you are so much knowledge, that the discipline of the things that you take on become a reflection on the outside. A lot of times we look in other people to find what we want to become for ourselves. It is only once we go within ourselves and once we become one with the universe to the point where everything we have is broken down to focus and knowledge, that the creator of this universe has the ability to work through us. So are you allowing yourself to do that? Are you allowing yourself to get to that place where there isn't a challenge too great for you? Are you asking yourself these types of questions? Ask yourself that question. Can I focus? Am I knowledge? Can I focus? Am I knowledge? As you say yes and yes more and more to yourself, as you utilize that more and more, as you become that more and more, as we use these things on a daily basis, there is nothing that has the ability to stop you from being who you are inside. There is nothing that has the ability to break you down from your own challenges. So, what's stopping you today? What's stopping you from focusing? What's stopping you from getting through the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis? If we go within who we are, if we look at the challenges that we face off against on a daily basis with the answer, I am focused, I am knowledge, my connection within myself makes this a classroom, that the external creates ripples from just the ability of me being myself, that you being yourself creates ripples in this universe. And when you start to recognize with it, as you start to get down with it, as you start to say to this universe, I am blessed and I will bless other people. As you allow the blessings to flow from within you, as the reflection shines outwards from within who you are, that is when this universe has the ability to utilize who you are. So a lot of times we see people and we recognize that they hit a place where the thing that they were trying to do, they just got it. Where what they were trying to do was exactly what they are. And so when these people reach this place, this universe, at a certain point of testing, it starts to use you. Now, as this universe starts to use you, as the knowledge and the focus connection within yourselves hits such that place inside of you that the discipline is the exactly connection of your knowledge and focus cradled within yourself, as that part inside of yourself becomes that place, then on the outside they see you, and they will call the ripples that you create an inspiration. They will call the ripples that you create lights in this universe. They will call the ripples that you create a path and a journey through the challenging life's focus and knowledge to the fire of inspiration. And when you get to that place where there's no challenge too great for you to overcome, when you get to that place where you have the power within yourself to relate it, then the question starts to come, who do I serve? And so when we serve the Most High Creator of this universe, and we become an inspiration in this universe, and we recognize that this is meant for you and I, and that this universe was created for us, and we don't need to be saved, because the universe created by the Most High had already sent those that are a part of the path of the journey of the Most High then we recognize our own paths. So, what do we got inside of ourselves? What can you connect with what you got? Can you do the things with what you got? Can you connect the knowledge and the focus inside of yourself to the point where what other people recognize from your level of discipline on the outside is inspiration? And so, as we recognize that it is a process, as we create these kind of ripples in the universe, as we give ourselves that place, as we get down to that person, as we get down to those challenges, and we get to the point where they are overcomable, then you use what you have inside of yourselves. You each individually have that place. You have that inside of who you are. You have that ability to go within who you are inside. And when others see you as you, they will see a reflection on the outside. They will see a challenge on the outside. They will see the ability to overcome everything you've ever faced off against. And so as you inspire other people, as you give them the ability to find that within themselves, as you go to the point where there isn't a challenge too great for you, ultimately, the things that you want in this world will start to come to you. Ultimately, the person that you want to become will come from within you. Ultimately, the light in this universe will shine a little brighter because you're here. It will be a little bit easier because you're here. It'll be a little bit lighter because you're here. And as you recognize with the path and the journey that you're on, as you recognize with the ability to go within who you are, as you recognize that you have the ability to overcome the challenges on a daily basis, there is nothing too great for the one who has focus and knowledge on their side, with this discipline created by the Most High Creator of this universe in such a way that we utilize it and a point where we have within ourselves. So what is it that's stopping you? What is it that would get you to the point where the light would shine out from within yourself? Are you able to see that what you have is special? Are you able to see that what you have inside of you is special? That you are special? And so as you see that knowledge and that focus being applied, as you give yourself the ability to use that place inside of who you are, as you overcome those types of challenges, as those places inside of yourself become a fortress of strength, as the fortress of strength within who you are reflects outwards, and so that the journey inside of yourself reflects from within who you are, then the Most High has a place. Then the Most High gives you the ability to recognize past all others. Then the Most High has a blessing from within who you are. If you're in that dark place, remember, you were created in such a way that every lesson that you have, everything was turned to your good if you allow it to be. You have to choose to follow after the light. You have to choose to put yourself in a place that there is no journey too great for who you are inside. You have to choose to not be afraid of things that others might fear. Because when you have what is inside of you is connected between your level of focus and your knowledge, when the creator of this universe is on your side, what do you have to fear? So, recognize there's no challenge too great for you. Blessings come from within. They radiate outwards from within who you are. And when you connect with those blessings inside of yourself, where the whole entire connection is you, then this universe asks you this question: Will you help other people? Will you put yourself in a place where you're focused and your knowledge creates ripples beyond you? From the people of Dubai, to the people of India, to the people of South America, to the people of North America, to Australia, to Europe, to all the continents along the earth. One day I will visit you and I will uplift you. So beauty is your knowledge across this world when you identify with yourself inside. So beauty is the reflection on the outside when we go within who we are. We give ourselves that place to grow. We give ourselves that reflection on the outside that shines from within who we are. We get down with who we are inside, and the outside becomes a reflection of our levels of focus. The person that we are inside shines outwards. So beautiful is the person who can become a reflection of inspiration, to connect their focus and their knowledge to the point where other people can see that, where other people can see that this universe is using the tools that they have inside. And I'm telling you, it's within each of you. It is inside of you to find that place, to get down with that journey, to get down with that path, to get to that part of yourself where the grind inside of you is worth it. You have it within yourselves. You have that place inside of who you are. You have that journey to go through by yourselves individually. We have gifts. And when we use the gifts that we have inside of ourselves, everyone around us benefits. The universe benefits from you being here. It benefits from the challenges that you face off against on a daily basis. It benefits from you having that ability to go within who you are. And it benefits because you